there, everyone. Dom Tippett alongside 7 Sports Director Matt Beauvais here at Highmark Stadium, coming off the Bills' 31-17 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC wildcard round. Well, Matt, there was a little bit of moments there, maybe in the second half, where you're like, you're watching like I feel like the Cowboys-Packers game might be happening here at Highmark. But when the offense needed to make a play, they did. The second half came alive for the Bills, and now we're getting ready for a big matchup in the AFC divisional round. We'll get to that in a little bit.
For sure.
We definitely got to talk about it. But let's just talk about this game. Immediate standouts for you.
Well, the offense, I give them a ton of credit. They scored 31 points in this game. It is still the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know they're without their best player in T.J. Watt. They scored 31 points. It should have been 37 because they had a missed field goal and a blocked field goal. So there was a little bit of kind of meat left on the bone for the Bills. But I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was when the Steelers scored to make it a 7-point game, the Bills were able to march down the field, score another touchdown, give themselves that 14-point buffer, and that's kind of when they sealed the – I mean, shout out to Khalil Shakir. That's an unbelievable play that he made. That was ridiculous. Micah Hyde said it was like a Houdini act. So you had other guys stepping – I mean, they're without Gabe Davis in this game. They're without their wide receiver too, and they had somebody else step up. So kudos to Khalil Shakir. I mean, Josh Allen. Josh Allen in the playoffs is an absolute freak. He's a sicko. He had 4 total touchdowns. He was 21 of 30. I don't remember what the passing yards were. It was a lot. And then on the ground, he had like 75 yards rushing with another touchdown, 4 total touchdowns, no turnovers. In the big games, you need your big players to have big moments. And he was probably one of the best players in the entire league this weekend, and he showed off today.
You were looking ahead to this week. I remember seeing so many graphics about the Josh Allen stats, comparing him to Patrick Mahomes and how he does in the playoffs. You go back and look at his stats from his first 8 playoff games.
He's wild.
He's tremendous.
Yeah.
And, all regular season, everybody gripes about the turnovers, right? Because of who Josh is, the style he plays. He takes care of the ball in the playoffs. And that was huge today because obviously one little mistake, it really felt like at any point in this, whether that's a Josh Allen interception or just a fumble, would have given the Steelers that kind of momentum they needed to get this game.
That's a good point from you, and I want to specifically mention one play. It's probably going to get lost in the shuffle because there were some ridiculous plays. The Bills make it a 2-score game, the Bills make it once again a 14-point game. They're marching down the field towards the tunnel. It's 3rd and 9. Josh is rolling to his right, and he hits Stephon Diggs for a 12-yard play. He's jumping in the air. He's throwing across his body back to the middle of the field. To get plays like that, you have to live with the turnovers. That has always been the thing about Josh Allen. You want the spectacular plays, you're going to sometimes have to deal with the head-scratching plays.
It's a constant give and take.
It's a constant give and take. But that was such a big play because it gave them, once again, a 14-point lead. And at that point, the Steelers are starting to move the ball a little bit, so you're getting a little bit concerned. He is such a dynamic – I mean, that play – and then there's the run. There's the run where it looks like he's going to slide. He doesn't. Then he busts off a 52-yard run.
It's like watching a freight train run down the field.
Yeah, it's
a bulldozer.
It's there's different people who have made different analogies. Mina Kimes a couple years ago said it's kind of unfair that the Bills have an actual Buffalo who is playing quarterback for them. And I thought about that one a little bit today. I saw one of them today from like Robert Mays. I think he said Josh Allen is like a monster truck with the heart of a Labradoodle who's on a Four Loko. Who's just running down the field. And I think that's also fantastic. I mean, he is just, when he plays games like he did against the Steelers on Monday night, he is the best player in the world, and he gives them a chance anytime they play, and they're going to need more of that because the guy who most people think is the best player of the world is coming to town next week.
And the Steelers' offense is not anything that has gotten high regard throughout the season. But
no.
They were able to move the ball pretty well at times, and they definitely made this one a game here. And obviously the injury to Terrell Bernard, right? And then, I think at one point I was talking to our friend Dan Fates from 13 Wham in Rochester. The Bills were without their 3 starting linebackers and their 4 starting defensive backs at one point. And one of the biggest things on defense you saw were, the ability for guys to step up and make plays when the Bills defense needed to do so. And a big one tonight, Matt, was A.J. Klein. And there wasn't really any splash plays to go along with it, but it's the little things that really stacked up a lot with him. And, I mean, what a story for him.
I mean, he was on the couch. He was hanging out. A couple weeks ago, they let him go when Dawson Knox came back from, his injury. And they said that, hey, we'll call you if we need you, but we don't really know. And yeah, I mean, just kudos to him for being able to step up in the way that he did, because it's not that he's just playing. he's playing and he's also calling the defense. You know,
Right.
he's the guy who's communicating with Sean about the defensive plays, and then he has to communicate that to everybody else. I guess that's the beauty of the familiarity that they have because he's been around for a while,
Right.
so he's comfortable with the other guys that are back there. But, I mean, in this game you lost. You didn't have Russell Douglas. You didn't have Tyrell Dodson. You didn't have Taylor Rapp going into the game. And then in the game itself, you lost Christian Benford early in the first quarter.
Yep.
You lost Taron Johnson later in the game. You obviously lost Terrell Bernard. That's the big one. But we're recording this on Monday evening.
Yep.
According to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, his tests have come back negative. He will get an MRI tomorrow. It appears this could be an ankle sprain. Now, considering he was carted off of the field in an air cast, that is absolutely the best case scenario. A stretch probably that he would be available this week, but if it's not a super long-term injury, this is a massive, massive break for the Bills.
Which they absolutely needed. And I had a million thoughts running through my head watching Bernard go down.
Mm-hmm.
But to hear that news, how it could possibly be way more mild than we thought it would be, is astounding. And of course, we just got to wait to see the test there. I don't want to speculate on any
Yeah,
injuries.
we don't know.
I don't want to write anybody off, but that would be so huge for the Bills. All right, let's do a little look at Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes,
Yep.
it's his first true road playoff game
Yeah.
against the Buffalo Bills in Highmark Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the stars aligned really well for this one.
Yeah. Taylor Swift will be here next weekend. That's something that a lot of people will be talking about. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is, like I just said, if he's not the best player in the world, he's one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
He can absolutely attack you in a bunch of different ways, even though they are not playing like the Chiefs of old.
It doesn't matter.
It's still Patrick Mahomes. It's still the playoffs. I don't think going on the road really matters for that guy. This is all about the injuries all week.
Yeah.
Because regardless of Terrell Bernard, that would be a huge loss. Is Taron Johnson going to be available?
Right.
Because Taron Johnson has been the guy who's been heavily responsible for trying to stop Travis Kelce,
Yep.
who, even though, once again, not having his greatest season, is still their biggest threat. Is Russell Douglas available? Because Rashee Rice is coming off of a huge game this weekend against the Dolphins. You need somebody to be able to eliminate him. Well, maybe not eliminate him, but contain him because he is very clearly their favorite target. And then the run game. Is Tyrell Dodson available? Because Isaiah Pacheco is a dangerous runner.
Yep.
You do not want to let that guy run all over you. So that's the kind of big thoughts early on in the week defensively for the Bills on trying to stop Patrick Mahomes. Offensively, they need to be able to score more points on a consistent basis than they did the first time they played.
Yes.
Because in the first time they played, they scored 20 points, I believe, maybe
Yeah, so
21
2017.
2017.
Was the win, yeah.
They had 14 in the first half, and then they only had 6 in the second half because their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, put Joe Brady kind of his mind into a pretzel. So you need to be able to continue to attack. Now, doing it here at home, I think will give you a better chance. It's a great matchup. The Bills are favored, barely, but it's the home favorite. They're 2.5-point favorites, which basically just means, hey, they're playing home.
Coin flip. A coin flip.
To get to where you're trying to go, you have to beat good teams, right? This is the team that has eliminated you in the playoffs twice in heartbreaking fashion. Eventually, you want a chance to beat them. Now you got a chance to beat them, and you get to do it at home. If you would have told anybody this a month ago, they would have signed up for it immediately. And the other thing, I'm sorry, I'm rambling here. I'm sorry.
Cook, King. Go
Let him
off.
cook. For about a month and a half, there were people who were writing the obituaries of the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. One of those teams would be playing in the AFC Championship. I don't know which team, but one of them will be playing in the AFC Championship. So it shows you how ridiculous some of the takes are throughout the year. It's just always things to talk about. It's a coin flip.
Yeah.
It's Josh versus Mahomes. Whoever has the hot hand that day will be the one that wins.
My mind always goes back to when we were sitting in the press conference room after the Philadelphia game, and that was like, I mean, it was doom and gloom outside. I've never been more saturated with rain, but it was a doom and gloom time, and I think I've said it maybe every week ever since the Bills have started making this run. But they've attacked it with that playoff mentality and the survive in advance. It's like an NCAA tournament for these guys.
Just win, baby.
Yeah, simple. Before we go, I want to wrap up one more thing. You said Taylor Swift's coming into town. It's gonna be big.
Gosh.
If you're,
Oh, gosh.
You're my recommendation. You're my Buffalo Bills guy, or
Yeah.
City of Buffalo, Western New York guy. 3 recommendations of restaurants Taylor Swift should get to this week.
Oh, goodness gracious.
She's gonna see this too.
That level.
Big KBW fan.
That level of superstardom can't go to restaurants. Like your life, for all the fame and money.
They make a little private table.
I don't even know how they'll get her into that. Well, whatever. We'll talk about it. Left bank, Hutches, bar bill, a wing place, whatever. Those are my. And one other thing, shout out Dom because he shot the game on the sideline today. It was very chilly, but I do also want to say he's got a hat on. Every other person out here has a hat on right now. I do not have a hat on.
Congratulations, you're a hard up.
My mom will be very upset. She texts me when I don't wear hats or gloves and I'm on camera. But, Wheatfield.
Yeah.
Just built different up there. Different up there.
Built different up there in Wheatfield. All right, 6:30 Sunday night, Bills versus the Chiefs in the AFC divisional round. The Bills getting a 31-17 win in the wild card game here today against the Pittsburgh Steelers. For Matt Bove, I'm Dom Tibbetts. See you guys next time.